Welcome everybody, Josh here, back again today with a brand new YouTube video. Today we're talking about this, which is the PS5 controller. Now, as you guys know, I'm a massive fan of video games. I've been playing video games pretty much my entire life. Ever since I was a kid, I played the Sega Genesis. It was my friend's Sega Genesis at the time. I'd go over to his house and play things like Mortal Kombat and other sort of, Sega titles such as Sonic. It was a really fun time being sort of a video gamer sort of in that time period, which is the early 90s, because I feel like the video games were only getting better. They were innovative. They were pretty much doing things that had never basically been seen before, and in a lot of ways the next generation of consoles are still doing that to this day. They might have a little bit of hiccups along the way, and there's probably some issues outside the realm of just the graphical and the storytelling department as well that kind of hinders some of the video game company's success in terms of that realm. I really do like the PlayStation 5. I knew that I was going to be doing a PlayStation 5 controller review at some point in time in the near future on my channel. Didn't know when I was going to be talking about it, but I did want to talk about it today, or at least tonight, as I'm kind of talking to you guys about this stuff, just because of the fact that I really do think that you guys should definitely get yourself a next-gen system, whether that be an Xbox Series S like you see behind me, or the PlayStation 5, which you also see the box behind me. And I've had this now since September, and I've really loved this controller. I do have the PS4 DualShock controller here. I've also had the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 2, and while I really do like this controller, and I really do like the crimson red controller on sort of the whole PS4 controller that you see here, there are some subtle differences between these two controllers that you see me using. Now, obviously, the first thing that you see here that's a little bit different is the fact that this controller is a little bit more beefier than sort of the DualShock that you see here. The aesthetics of this controller are basically the same. This one is just a little bit wider. And one thing that I noticed when I did unbox this originally, and I do have some unboxing footage which I may or may not show in this review, is the fact that this looks a little bit like sort of the PS3 controller that they're originally going to come out with when they had the boomerang design. The original console design for the PlayStation 3 did have sort of a boomerang design look to it. It was a little bit more silver until we got sort of the matte black version of that console. And this does resemble that controller a lot, and I think that that's one of the things that makes this controller look a little bit unique and different, is the fact that it doesn't look like your standard PlayStation 4 controller that you see me bringing up in this review. Now, this does feel really great in the hands. When I first tried the haptic feedback, I was playing Uncharted, and it does have sort of that feeling to it when you're playing with the haptic feedback of actually pulling the trigger of an actual weapon, which I've never actually done before, but I can only guess that with some of these video games, when you're driving a car or when you're pulling the trigger of a weapon or something like that in the game, you're going to get that same sort of feeling that you would get if you're actually doing it in real life. And that's one of the things that I really do like about the Sony PlayStation 5 controller that you see here, is just the versatility and the differences between the two. It does look really nice, especially paired up with sort of a PlayStation 4. If you have that in your living room, you can kind of swap in and out between sort of the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 and not really notice that much of a difference. They basically feel the same. They have sort of nicer grips on sort of the PS5 compared to the PS4 one. This just feels ergonomically a little bit better than sort of the last generation of consoles. When I'm playing sort of video game like this, I also notice sort of the new and improved sort of LED screen here. It's got sort of the LED indicator, and then when you're playing a certain game, which is pretty cool, like with the PlayStation 4 controller, it'll give either a red, green, blue, or whatever color sort of signifies sort of the video game itself with the controller as well. Sort of the buttons are basically the same as the prior console controllers with the PS4. You got sort of your triangle, your circle, your X, and then your square, which is also basically the standard for PlayStation controllers. The Xbox has sort of the A/B lettering systems that you get with those controllers. Out of all the current generation controllers that I've actually been able to kind of test out, I like this one the most. And I'm not just saying that as sort of a Sony fan. I really do like Sony's consoles. I like their video games. Heck, I'm even sort of wearing an Uncharted cosplay right now, especially with the fact that I just went to Twin Cities Con, which I might actually do a video on my channel at some point in the not so distant future. But I think for $70, sometimes you can get these a little bit cheaper now. The fact that there's Black Friday coming around, I think you can get these controllers for pretty darn cheap. And I'm actually going to try and get I think it's called a Cosmic Red controller, just so that I can match it up with the black and red of the PS4 controller that I really like. The red and black is sort of the aesthetic that goes along with sort of my gaming chair, and I really do like black and red sort of themes. I really do like sort of that on controllers. It just kind of looks really nice and just kind of matches up with sort of the color scheme that I do with my YouTube channel and stuff like that sometimes. So those are my thoughts and opinions of the PS5 controller. I do highly recommend it, especially if you're a person that doesn't really want to spend that much on the Pro controller that is coming out. This is a few $100s less than the Pro controller, which I think is going to be like $200, which is essentially the price of a next generation system almost. Like, for the price you're going to be paying for this and maybe even the PlayStation VR, which I may or may not get, you can get this for about $70 and still save up enough money to either get another console, or definitely keep that in mind when you're thinking about these controllers, because as these are just as expensive as the software that you see behind me. I do have a few video games that I bought, and I will be talking about those on this channel. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things when it comes to reviewing stuff on my channel. So as always, guys, let me know in the comment section down below, do you have a PlayStation 5 yet? Are you still using sort of your PS4? Are you planning on picking up a PS5 in the not so distant future? Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this controller. And as always, guys, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.